Some exchange betting companies run short-lived promotions, like months-long offers of low commission. At BetDAG, we wanted to change the way we did things, so we set our commission at 2% permanently. That's 2% on football, horse racing, golf, almost any sport. 2%. That's just one way that BetDAG is changing for the better. For the better, like you. BetDAG, the 2% commission exchange.
Over 18s only, please gamble responsibly.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the ROKER RAPPORT podcast, this time with me, Josh Wilkinson, and I'm joined tonight by the current Sunderland women's captain, Keira Ramshaw. How are you, Keira?
I'm fine, thanks, Josh. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. And not only is this an exciting edition of the podcast, it's also somewhat of a reunion for us, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Because we both went to school together, and I'm very happy to admit that even back then, it was very obvious you were always going to go far in football because you were far better than I was, and you were far better than most of us, definitely. Did you always think that you were going to go far in football?
Well, it was always part of my life. From when I was 4-year-old, obviously, I started playing, and I never looked back since. I always wanted a ball at my feet, mainly through my brother, really. But I think when I got to the academy stage, Sunderland Academy, that was when it all got a bit serious, and that was when I kind of thought, right, we can make the first team here. And that was when it got serious, knowing that what could be kind of thing.
And how old were you when you started playing?
When I started playing for my first team, I was 4, but I couldn't actually play a football match until I was 6 or 7 because it was under 8s or something like that. So I had to train for 3 years until I could actually play.
I imagine you were probably good enough at 5 though to play with the under 8s.
It was a bit small.
Yeah. So I think it's probably best that we start off with last Sunday's result. If that sounds good to you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Comfortable 3-0 win against top of the table and previously unbeaten Blackburn. And in fact, we were the first team to take any points off them at all, as they'd won every single game beforehand and they've actually won a game since. So going into that game, how did you all prepare for it? Because obviously it was a huge game.
Yeah. Against
top of the table, flying high. You know, training must have been intense. How were you all preparing for it? Yeah,
training that week was intense, and the weeks before that, obviously, we had games in and around Blackburn, and we were concentrating mainly on them. But the week of Blackburn, we all stuck together, and we knew what job needed to be done. They'd obviously beat us in the cup, then they'd beat us in the league. So this was kind of to try and get to show that we can compete with the top. And I think we did that brilliantly on Sunday. We all stuck together. The younger ones, they give everything they could, and as a team collectively, we were fantastic. Can't really knock us for trying.
Yeah, and I think that 3-0 win probably sent shockwaves around women's football, especially in that league. So how did that feel afterwards?
Yeah, I think that was one of the best feelings, because obviously people expected us to get beat. They expected like Blackburn to probably score 3-4 goals past us. So to know that we scored 3 against them and didn't concede a goal, that was a great feeling for all the girls.
It's pretty crazy that we were probably going in as underdogs.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Obviously, like I say, they beat us twice before, so I think everyone expected us to get beat, and when that message went out, or the tweet or whatever, to show the result, I think it would have sent shocks to the league, yeah.
Because I was keeping up to date on the Twitter, and every time a goal went in, it was almost the person who was writing the tweets couldn't believe what was happening as well. It was like, another goal.
Yeah, definitely. I think because they scored so quickly together as well, obviously we scored 3 goals in the first half. That kind of, the second half we knew we just solely had to defend first, and that was when we kind of, not parked the bus, but we knew defend first and then take chances when we get them, and we stuck together as a team and then got the end result as well.
Certainly worked. Was it slightly bittersweet though? I mean, you're beating top of the table, unbeaten Blackburn 3-0. Is there a part of you that after the game you were kind of like, we've just battered them? And I know you said that they'd beat you before in the cup and in the league, but was a part of you that was like, we should be close, we should be top?
Yeah, definitely. I think we know as a team that we've dropped points against people that against teams that we probably shouldn't have dropped points against, especially when we know we can compete with the likes of Blackburn and things like that. So to drop points against other teams, it was harder even at the time because we knew we could have done better. So the fact that we've obviously competed with Blackburn would probably give us more confidence now for the 5 games left, knowing that we can compete with everybody in the league.
Yeah, and speaking of which, we'll move on to the next game, which is this weekend, this Sunday, at home against Guiseley Vixens. So for anyone interested in going, kick-off is 2 p.m. at the Hetton Centre. Now, they've lost their last 2 games, but before that they had won 3 on the bounce. So are you expecting a reaction from them?
Yeah, definitely. I think they'll come at us, they will. They'll want the points as well as us. But I think especially if we play the way we did on Sunday against Blackburn, we'll pick up the points, no bother. I think we need to just create chances like we did and keep the ball like we did, and we will come out with the 3 points.
Yeah, and presumably there's been a focus on not being complacent almost after the last game.
Yeah, definitely. We know now with 5 games left that we need to push on and get the best from every game possible to try and finish as high as we can in the league. We know that Blackburn's probably going to win the league, which is heartbreaking as well, but to get second place or even to get as far as we can in the league, that's our aim at the minute, yeah.
So like you said, it looks like Blackburn might be winning the league, unfortunately, which means that promotion is probably not going to happen this year.
Yeah.
Given that we're now in the 3rd tier. How is it going from, and we'll touch on, and we'll get to the demotion, how is it going from kind of playing in the Super League, I finished at 7th, so there should have been no worries or anything like that about relegation. How is it going from playing in the Super League full-time to then playing in the 3rd tier and having to worry about getting, jobs and stuff like that?
Yeah, it has been really hard, and it's been heartbreaking for myself as well, to be fair. Because Super League 1 was fantastic. Obviously, we had the coverage of the telly and things like that. We had better media. We had better crowds. We were pulling in crowds of like 1,500 to 2,000.
Yeah.
And now you're lucky if you see about 200 to 300 people at the Hetton Centre now. But yeah, we had everything that we could possibly wish for, and then it got took away from us from non-footballing reasons, which was heartbreaking, and that meant, especially for myself, I had to find a full-time job because obviously part-time jobs and things like that, I couldn't live on that, especially. But yeah, so finding a full-time job, and then obviously training times 7:30 till 9:30, and then you've been to work and you've been up since 6 o'clock. And then you haven't got a weekend because they took over by games and things like that. It is very hard, and it kind of just feels like you're just working and playing football and that's all your life is. But at the same time, I wouldn't change it because I want to be at Sunderland and I want to give everything I can to Sunderland. And if that means working till 6 o'clock at night and training until 9 o'clock at night, then so be it. And
that's why you're captain, I guess. So can we delve a bit more into the demotion itself? I mean, we've heard a lot about why it happened, and we've heard a lot about the politics of, teams not living up to criteria and all this kind of stuff. But really, as a player, how was it for you?
It was heartbreaking, yeah. I remember getting the phone call when I was actually on holiday. We'd just finished the Super League 1. It was about a month after, 3 weeks, 4 weeks after. And I got the phone call just to say that we will be demoted. And at the time, before they said what league, I just thought Super League 2, which I thought, we'll push on, we'll get back into Super League 1, like, it happens kind of thing. But then when they said National League, it was that was when I was like, wow, what's happening kind of thing. Because obviously from being at the club since I was 16, I've seen it from its worst. I've seen it when, obviously, parents are secretaries, parents are chairmen and things like that. To take it all the way up to the Super League 2, win Super League 2, get promoted to Super League 1, we done fantastic. So to get to Super League 1 and then have everything in front of you and get it all taken away through non-footballing reasons was heartbreaking. And
was it hard to kind of watch the Netflix documentary? I'm presuming you have.
Yeah, definitely.
Was it hard to watch that and think, obviously saw the kind of the mess that was going on, and to think that's what caused that demotion?
Yeah, it has been really hard, but as well, because I support Sunderland, I wanted them to do well as well. So it was kind of heartbreaking
double whammy.
Yeah, heartbreaking for us to go down to League 1 and heartbreaking for ourselves as the women's team. So it was a bit of a It's a sad time, to be honest.
I'm more annoyed they ruined your holiday by calling you
No, it
while
was
you were
only the
away.
Monday as well.
Were you somewhere nice?
I was in Spain, yeah.
So
Spain.
So did you have the rest of the week?
Yeah, they told us on the Monday, so I had the rest of the week.
Could have just
to
waited till
stew
you
on
got
it.
back, surely.
It's all right. I
Why
ate
did they
your
have to
body
tell
weight
you
in
then?
food.
But I mean, I'm sure that if we're going to look towards next season, I think promotion, win the league, it's a real possibility, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think with a bunch of girls that we've got as well, everyone wants the same outcome. Everyone's there for a reason. We're all in the same boat. We all come to training in the same boat and for the same outcomes, basically. So to work together and to try and get the club back to where it is, I think that's a really good possibility. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, we lost a lot of players.
Yeah.
Because of the demotion. Why? I mean, it might seem like an easy question, but why did you stay? And obviously, I'm asking this as a Sunderland fan as well. I wouldn't want you to leave, but I think you've shown your quality this season. I mean, 21 goals in 19 games is more than a good enough return. So, I mean, you've been chosen as woman of the match 10 times out of the 19 times you've played. I think you've proved that you could play at a higher level. You already have played at a higher level. So, what was it about Sunderland, or just what was it about Sunderland that you thought, you know what, I'm going to stick it out. We're going to get this club back to the Super League.
Yeah, I think since I was even 5-year-old, 4-year-old, playing for SAFC 24/7 girls, and then playing for Sunderland Academy, it was always Sunderland. I don't really know any different, and I don't think I would want to be honest. But obviously living in Sunderland, being Sunderland born and bred, and my whole family supports Sunderland, so it's kind of a proud moment for us, to be honest, especially being captain. But yeah, there was offers from other people come in for us and things like that, but my heart lies with this club, and it was hard, even though it was heartbreaking what happened. I want to try and get it back to where I know that it can be. I mean, it's happened before where we've brought the club from nothing, and I think we can bring it back up again.
And can you talk about those other offers?
Not really.
No. Obviously, we still have such an exciting squad. We've got yourself. We've got players like Danielle Brown and Bridget Galloway, who have both been involved with England. I think Bridget Galloway scored 15 and 21.
Yeah.
So, are you looking at this as a great foundation to build on for next season?
Yeah, definitely. Like, obviously, when we found out we were losing most of our players from Super League One, that was like a panic kind of thing. Like, who's going to step up? How are we going to have a team? How are we going to compete? Kind of thing. But I think the younger ones that have come in have proved themselves fantastically. They give everything, and they do the most best, to be honest. Bridget's a fantastic player as well, and she's scored in Super League One, and she's scoring now in the National League. So to have her up front is also a great thing for the team.
It's quite crazy, isn't it? The summers that both the men's and the women's team had, because they're very similar.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I mean, both teams needed a massive rebuild. Both teams have quickly gone from, the top league to the third tier, but both teams are hopefully going to start rebuilding again and climbing the ranks again.
Yeah, that's like I say, it was heartbreaking as a supporter and as a player to go through both. That was a sad time.
You're essentially the George Honeyman of the women. is what I'm getting here, isn't it? So I'd love to get your thoughts on the growth of the women's game in general. I mean, I think we've seen in a number of different areas how much it's improving, and you've already touched on it with Sunderland. So there's huge news recently that Barclays have announced a sponsorship deal for the Women's Super League. The deal is thought to be worth up to £10 million and will start from next season and last for 3. Obviously, that's huge for that league, and saying that there'll be prize money pot of £500,000, which is the first time that's ever existed. So it's not directly kind of benefiting Sunderland. But do you think that there'll be any kind of trickle-down effect, or do you think that the Super League getting money will then lead to the lower tiers getting a bit of support as well?
It's fantastic that we've got the coverage that we're having right now. It's only going to bring the women's game bigger and better, to be honest. And from seeing it from when I was little to now, it's a massive, massive change. And to have the support and things like in place like the Barclays thing and things like that, it is massive for even little girls that are joining now or wanting to play football. They can look at the media coverage, they can look on the telly, they can see women playing football, and they know that they've got something to work towards. Whereas when I was younger, it was all you would join in with the boys' teams. You would play with anything that was a ball, a bottle top, or a bottle, anything that you could play with in school or whatever. But now everything's in place for the little girls to aspire and to get where they need to be. So yeah, that's a great thing. And as for the coverage and things like that on the telly, that's just going to make it bigger as well. Obviously, the population will grow and people will start tuning into it who's probably never watched women's football before, but they'll have an interest in it, and hopefully that coverage can gain more fans and things like that, and then that can trickle down the leagues.
And I think as well, it's so important in the schools, almost, isn't it? Because I remember, obviously we went to school together, and I vividly remember how, they probably did it subconsciously, but it felt like the boys' team was a lot more, was genuinely more supported by the school.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to mention the school just in case. But it did feel like, they say the boys' team is the bigger deal. So have you seen, or are you seeing more of an improvement in, how girls are getting involved at school with football?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's getting more equal now. Obviously, when we were in year 6, I was the only girl on the boys' football team.
Right. And even I wasn't on that team.
So obviously, we went through trials and things like that, the same as everyone. But being the only girl on the football team,
how was that?
At the time, obviously, because I was so young, I didn't really care. But now I look back and I'm thinking, how did I not care about that?
Yeah, because presumably there weren't many teams with girls in their team in year 6.
Yeah, definitely. But now I think more schools are doing it where they've got a girls' football team, a boys' football team, and the trials and things like that are the same for both. And obviously, girls have got something to aspire to, like I say, and now there's academies and things in place for them to get get the foot in the door with Sunderland and with other teams in the North East.
So was there girls' teams and boys' teams when we were at school?
Not so much, no.
Not so much?
No, it was normally year 9 I think I was in when I was on the actual girls' team. Mm-hmm. But not up until year 9 it was joining with the boys.
Yeah. We're giving away our old age here, but it was about 10 years ago now.
Yeah, definitely.
So at least it's come on leaps and bounds since. But yeah, I think I was reading as well that both semi-finals of the FA Cup are going to be on telly, so that's amazing. Going to be on the BBC, I believe. And that 9 countries want to host the World Cup in 2023. So I think it's clear that, it's going to be on telly more. And like you say, if girls are growing up, and it's the role models thing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I think, is it Alex Scott who's on Sky? I think she's, a lot of the time, one of the best pundits. Genuinely.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah, she is. She does her research. She's smart. She speaks really well. And I think even stuff like that girls can watch Sky and see a female role model in the sport and think, oh, it's totally normal.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's huge. So that's really cool. Speaking of the World Cup, obviously it's this summer, 7th of June to the 7th of July, so we're getting pretty close. And I believe it's actually the first Women's World Cup using VAR, which is exciting or not, depending on your opinion on VAR, I guess. I quite like it. How do you rate our chances?
I think we've got a high chance. I think obviously I've got a few friends that play for England, and seeing the preparation on things like Instagram and Twitter, and you can tell that they're well prepared. And obviously they've just won the She Believes Cup. And that was a fantastic experience for them, and I'm sure they'll want to push from that and try and get as high as they can in the World Cup. Yeah.
And were you going to any of the games?
We'll probably have games, but try and get to some. Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on the exclusive women's kit?
That's nice,
It's quite fancy, I think. Although I was looking on the FA website, and it's about £100 to get a top with a name on.
Pricey.
Bit pricey, lads. I think you're going to have to sort that out a bit. But there's a long list of ex-Sunderland players who have played and still play for England, as I'm sure you know. Steph Houghton, Beth Mead, Lucy Staniforth, just to name a few. It's probably a silly question, but do you still have ambitions of playing for England? And is there a part of you that's kind of like, I wish I was there this summer?
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously, especially being involved with the England setup when I was younger, you always have that in the back of your mind thinking, oh, maybe could have been there, or it's always could haves and should haves kind of thing. But you just got to keep pushing on, and I'm happy for the girls, and I know for a fact that they'll do the best they can and hopefully bring the World Cup home.
And what do you think of Phil Neville as a manager?
I think that's fantastic for him and for the girls, to be honest. I think he's a great role model, and I think he's doing really well with the girls. Yeah.
What did you think of his appointment before? Because I was a bit unsure, because I just watched the one match of the day and I think, the guy's an idiot.
No, I think he's proven himself to everybody, to be honest with this. I think he is taking it on, and he's getting the girls just where they need to be. Yeah.
Awesome. So obviously, I mean, you want to keep going internationally. Domestically, where do you see your career going? Are you kind of thinking, right, we're in third tier now, that is what it is, but I'm going to captain this team, my team, right to the top?
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to try. Obviously, that's me aim, especially as captain, to try and win this league, get promoted, and then even better, get promoted from Super League 2. But the team that we've got at the minute, I think we can push on and do that, and that's my biggest aim, and that would be a proud moment for me to win that league and to know where we've been, where we've ended up, and to try and climb them back up. That would be a proud moment.
Quite a story.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Definitely.
Rising from the ashes almost, if you like. So we've got some miscellaneous questions for you as well. This might be a tricky one. So I was gonna say who's the best player you've played with, but what I'll do is say pick a five-a-side team. So we need, I mean, it depends on what's your formation going to be, what we're thinking.
Five-a-side.
Yeah, obviously you need a keeper.
Yeah.
Are you going 2-2, 2-1-1?
2-1-1 maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite defensive. You could go 1-2-1.
2-1-1, I would say.
2-1-1?
Yeah.
Okay, so 5 players you played with, that's in your five-a-side team, and you're the manager in this weird fantasy world.
Oh, I'd have... It's a toss-up for keeper between Rachel Laws and Carly Telford, but it would be Carly Telford. And then defenders, Steph Horton, Lucy Bronze, Lucy Staniforth, and Beth Mead.
Quite a team.
Yeah.
I think that would win any tournament. And what's the best game you've played in?
Oh, I've played in quite a few good games, to be fair, but I think the one I would have to choose would probably be Millwall to win the Super League 2. I think we knew what we needed, how much we needed to win that game, and to win against them, and obviously know that we were getting promoted to Super League 1. That feeling, even being on the pitch when we were winning, was an exciting, happy feeling that I'll never ever forget.
Yeah. And what's the worst game you've played in?
Probably Arsenal, I think. We got beat 7-0.
Oh.
We have played them before and not got beat as much as that, but that time it was a harsh game to play.
Tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Well, listen, thank you very much for your time, and it's a bit mental because we went to school together.
No,
and I mean, it's been 8-9 years. It's like it was yesterday. It's like it was yesterday. But I wish you all the best with the rest of the season, and definitely be keeping an eye on next season as well.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Keira.
Some exchange betting companies run short-lived promotions, like months-long offers of low commission. At BetDAG, we wanted to change the way we did things, so we set our commission at 2% permanently. That's 2% on football, horse racing, golf, almost any sport. 2%. That's just one way that BetDAG is changing for the better. For the better, like you. BetDAG, the 2% commission exchange.
Over 18s only, please gamble responsibly.